Right.
And guess what you're doing? Well, you're going to retread.
What Fauci was voicing was a common technocratic assumption. That technocratic assumption is that scientists constitute some stock of apolitical overmen, of completely and men completely and totally immune to political and ideological biases, a kind of psychocognitive elite, a cognitive pneumatikoi, as opposed to the sukekoi, the masses. The fact is that
and for anybody that doesn't understand that reference, that's a kind of Gnostic idea, and certain Greek philosophies had an idea that some people were intelligent and awake and others were just sleeping sheep.
Right. These categories, they were evoked also by St. Paul, the pneumatikoi and the sukekoi, but they were understood from the Orthodox perspective as just being orientations that could be that could be assumed by anybody. Anybody can. Yeah. Anybody could 1 second behave as sukekoi. Anybody the next second could behave as pneumatikoi. Well, 1 second you're behaving as the spiritual man. The next second you're behaving as the natural man. But they were just more. They were understood as moral orientation, not as ontology. And with the Gnostics, they ontologized those categories. And so the pneumatikoi literally became a stock of superhumanity, and the sukekoi literally became the mass animal. And you see that binary very much. You see that binary very much exemplified by the scientific outlook.
Yes, and it acts as if it is the God, since it's playing God and outside its creation, it's the bestower of grace. So if you regurgitate its positions and you wear a science is real t-shirt and say what they tell you and the experts tell you, now you can be given life. They'll breathe the pneumos into you, breathe the life into you. But if you don't follow what they say, you don't count. You are useless eaters. You see this in the French Revolution, too, with the whole depopulation and this kind of anti-human idea. There were people that went to the guillotine, I'm going to do my duty to this society and live on through history in the absence of an afterlife because I'm a useless eater, so now there will be less population. Some of these people would dance on the way and whatnot. And this very same idea is there, this useless eater idea. You see Harari say it. You saw it in the French Revolution.
Yeah. That same dark impulse which afflicts Fauci's mind, this libido dominandi, this lust to dominate others, and countenancing this antagonistic binary of the enlightened, those in possession of gnosis, a pneumatikoi, and a sukekoi. You see that also afflicts one of his fellow technocratic travelers, who, by the way, really isn't a scientist at all. The dude knows nothing about epidemiology and virology, but he talks an awful lot about shots and about vaccination.
Get the numbers down.
Bill Gates, dude. Bill Gates. In a conversation with the Atlantic editor-in-chief, James Bennett, on March 13th of 2014, Bill Gates asserted that in spite of the fact that they were elected, lawmakers had only managed to engender dissatisfaction. So you already see where he's heading with this line of argumentation. In Gates' view, democracy was suboptimal, voting was an exercise in futility, and Washington, D.C. was irrelevant. In the place of elections, in the place of other democratic practices, Gates proposed a strictly quantitative approach to the government. And what he said, and I'll just paraphrase, he said that we, or those of the Gates Foundation, were big on metrics, and it's getting easier to measure things all the time. So with this statement, you see the scientific and technocratic obsession with metrics, with what is quantifiably demonstrable, which is symptomatic of what René Guénon, the perennialist, called the reign of quantity.
Yes.
a defining feature of this rate is the bestowal of epistemological primacy upon an exclusively quantitative interpretation of things. According to this hermeneutic, this very cold hermeneutic, quantification will diagnose and cure all social ills that afflict humanity. Ironically, the very humanity that such a hermeneutic is being employed to save will be dehumanized by it. We saw that dehumanization underway during the COVID-19 response, because
The
unvaccinated were they had tried a new form of bigotry. The unvaccinated were called filthy and submoronic, just horrible things said about.
And can you imagine?
The only thing they can quantify in the aftermath now is the number of asymptomatic myocarditis victims.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood. Oh, go ahead.
Can you imagine too if when they do disease X, when it's something worse, if this was more like a probing attack and now you have something that does kill kids, the way Sam Harris was talking, the justification that they would have to just lock everything down and call everybody subhuman. And you see it in the writings of the elites too, where one of the papers Father Here's read, where they talked about anybody that wouldn't take the chip who interferes with, saving humanity by becoming transhuman from all this stuff they say is going to kill us. It is a ape-brained meat sack. So you see this dehumanization. I think it's also necessary to these people to dehumanize us, because if you're doing these things to people and you come to realize what you're doing to everybody else and have a conscience, it's really going to hurt. They can't face that. Or the consequences of getting in trouble for it. So it's very necessary. Just like when I was in the military, we dehumanized the enemy that we had to fight and kill them. So if I'm lax about that, my buddy gets killed. I'm not doing my job. So we dehumanize the enemy. You've seen this
The terms were gooks, nips, sand knickers, and now it's I guess the unvaccinated.
All of these are derogations that they just apply to specific demographics who at the time
to anesthetize the conscious.
Yeah.
So you can say, as you said, you can do something that is very unsettling to the conscious, and with minimal fuss.